Welcome everyone to the Co-Creators Convergence Thursday night Creator Convos. I'm Noel Marshall and I'm here with my beloved.
Hi everyone, this is Bob Warner. We're so delighted that you're here this evening. Cynthia's assembled an amazing collection of wisdom keepers for a Playshop. What could be a better evening than that? We're so glad you all are here.
Yes, thank you all for coming, and I do see some new faces. So what I'd like to do before I turn the magic talking stick over to Cynthia is to tell you a little bit about the Co-Creators Convergence. So please stand by. So that is a little bit about the Co-Creators Convergence, as if you all didn't know already. But before I turn it over to Cynthia, I thought that it'd be appropriate to read one of Barbara Marx Hubbard's 52 codes. And I just kind of landed on code 12. Place your attention on me, the universal self. I will lift you into the quantum landing field. Consciously identify with the universal self. Remember, I am that. Direct your universal self to infuse you with vitality, to guide you moment by moment. You are entering the quantum landing space within yourself, the space and consciousness for the higher frequency of your being to land within, to infuse within, to infuse you with a vibration that calibrates and harmonizes all aspects of your being. Just breathe that for a moment. Thank you, Barbara. She's always with us Thursday night. There's no denying. So let me tell you now a little bit about the organizer of this wonderful book, Compass. I think there's over 44 authors that have co-created this fountain of wisdom. We'll just call it Fountain of Wisdom. So Cynthia Clayton, author of Compass of Hope, the user manual for the human condition, and Transform into Light Body, as well as the Being and Becoming book. She's a positive psychology professor, facilitating transformational workshops at Oregon Coast Community College, also involved with Avatar Mindset Counseling. That's her private practice. She has a PhD specializing in metaphysical counseling, and also Sufi All Faiths minister. She's also with the Berkeley University Science of Happiness facilitator. And that's how we've always known her. She loves living within and exploring our neighbors, Smoky Mountains, writing ecstatic poetry and lots of hugs. So without any further ado, I'm turning it over to you, Cynthia. Let's have a wonderful evening together.
Good evening. most beloved collaborators and guests, and those watching this replay. I am so delighted you're here. And I want to thank those of you who have sent me, supportive emails, repost my posts on Facebook, cheered me on, because it's been kind of a rough 2 years trying to put together a 400-page manual. And this is it, our book. It's actually 45 of us, but there's 44 other ones besides me. And I know a lot of you don't have it yet, but when you do get it, you can open it anywhere, see what speaks to you. You will transform no matter what section you do in there. You don't have to do it in order. So trust the universe and let it take you on an adventure to get to know yourself. So before we begin this illustrious summit of authors and guests, a few notices. Monday on Bold Brave TV, sponsored by Planetary Peace, Power, and Prosperity, I presented a 1-hour slideshow talk with information and images from the book, a comprehensive overview of the concepts and content. And I invite you to go to my website, cdclayton.com, and check out the replay of that. Tonight is going to be a fun, interactive experience, but to know more about the book, go to my website. And also while you're there, learn about my fall Zoom transformation workshops. I will be doing them again through Oregon Coast Community Colleges, and anyone, anywhere can join. And the link to register with the college is on my website. Tonight is an experiential play shop given by 9 authors from the book. We're also blessed with a very special opening speaker I will introduce in a few minutes. One of the authors from the book, Professor Alexander Laszlo. And he offers us insight on his syntony quest research. And I've seen a peek of his, the emphasis of his talk, and this is Kairos. I feel will be telling us exactly what we need to hear, like right now. So I'm really looking forward to that. Well, some of you have asked me, like, what compelled you to begin this massive undertaking? Hopelessness is the most catastrophic, insidious pandemic still on the planet. Mid-COVID, I discovered some statistics that just blew my awareness wide open, realizing the suffering of those, not with COVID, but lost in their thoughts, stuck in old paradigms, lonely, depressed souls. And what was so sad for me, and what made me drop everything and go in this direction, is I knew their suffering was avoidable. I remembered how students attending my positive psych classes entered with confusion, anxiety, and hopelessness, and they left with what I call an avatar mindset beginning to take shape. They were taking responsibility for their own lives and creating a positive view of their lives to become their optimally functioning, best possible selves. I watched the incredible transformation of the students and myself. Every time I taught the class, I went through some good changes. Well, I knew to get my course content out there where people could play with it, view it, where it could help them, I didn't have the whole picture. So I reached out to others and I trusted the universe. Even before COVID began, we had serious mental health concerns on the planet. In the 12-year period, just before COVID, 2007 to 2019, in the US, 1 in 5 children aged 3 to 17 reported a mental, emotional, developmental, or behavioral disorder. 1 in 5 children. High school students reporting persistent feelings of sadness and hopelessness increased by 40% in that 12 years, and suicide rates among youth ages 10 to 24 increased by 57%. We haven't even got to COVID yet. Now, when COVID hit in 2020, 1 in 4 college students were contemplating suicide. And that was when I read that. It's like, I got to do something. And you think college students, they kind of have it going for them. They must have parents with, a little money, or they must be very intelligent, get scholarships, but perhaps their parents were among those also unable to control their minds. 1 in 4 adults were taking drugs for anxiety and depression. A national mental health emergency was declared by the US Surgeon General concerning the mental health of youth. When hospital emergency department visits for attempted suicide had increased 51% in just like 2 years for adolescent girls. Global research covering 80,000 youth discovered depression and anxiety amongst 25% of them. So besides being sick, people were really unable to handle this stress and had no tools to develop resilience. In 2022, COVID was over, maybe, and it was reported that half of the people who need counseling and psychiatric help were still not able to get it. And this is where Compass of Hope comes in. To be a mental health resource, to give people meaning and hope. A resource to be used within a new system of education in self-help, healthcare, and counseling fields. COVID was merely our warning of an already existing hidden peril. Like when miners find a dead canary in a coal mine. It's an urgent sign to move out of the tunnel. And in global mental health, to rapidly move toward restoring positivity in human consciousness, to prepare for the next global pandemic or crisis. I asked in groups of those in service to humanity this question, and it was answered by many here in our gathering. I asked, what does your heart want people to know now and in future generations more than anything else that brings lasting peace, true happiness, stability, empowerment, encouragement, or a new world vision? If you had the attention of the entire world, what would you say to make people's lives easier, inspire them, give them connection, direction, and practices for the journey? Compass of Hope is a treasure trove of 44 co-authors, wise and practical, heartfelt responses to this question. And now the manual was complete with explorations in word alchemy, passion and purpose, energy and frequency, the spirit of oneness and living soulfully, conscious evolution, and all the other elements needed for the emerging prototype of the highly evolved human. Thank you for listening to my overview. And now, let's get ready for a night of experiences, a journey into the synergy and syntony of Compass of Hope. To fertilize our minds and open our hearts, I am deeply honored to present our opening speaker, Professor Alexander Laszlo. Hi, Alexander.
Hello. Oh my goodness, here I am. Thank you so much, Cynthia. And what a treat it is to be here to co-create. And this is so nice because this is exactly the co-creators convergence. And here we are engaging with each other in this play shop, this workshop, this exploration. And thank you so much for setting the stage for that. This is serious, but it needs to be serious fun. This is where we can engage with what a colleague of mine likes to talk about, meaning fun experiences. We are looking at today's engagement, all of us here, and it's such a treat. I mean, we have DrJanet, whose smile is just lighting up the screen whenever I look. And we have Connie and Andrew, who will be putting the end of the bookmark on this whole presentation, which is just such a treat as well. And we have all these great people who are going to be sharing from their hearts, not so much a conversation about the tricks of the trade and here's how you go about it, here's the algorithm, but it's really about embodying the change. Really that, Gandhi's admonition to be the change you wish to see in the world. And this is what we're sharing with each other. What are the ways in which we can do this? We can be that change. And I think Compass of Hope really in this moment here is not just a collaboration. It's not just a celebration. It's what I like to think of as a celebration. It's a combination of collaboration and celebration, which truly, fundamentally is about celebrating life. So I thought that rather than just look at me holding forth here, I'm going to share with you some slides, which can be, I think, much more fun than just looking at my mug. So here we go. And let me pop this on the screen for you and hit play. Okay, so hopefully you can all see that. And there it goes. It's a little slow. But what I would like to also share with you now, just with a few slides here, is this notion of thinking about hope beyond hopes. Hopefully that didn't make you too dizzy there. But this idea of hope with capital H is very different than hopes. We have lots of little hopes every day. Well, I hope I don't miss the bus, and I hope this thing is going to be on time, and I hope it's going to. That's different than having hope, capital H. And that, I think, is what the Compass of Hope, the book, and all the sharing is about. How do we tap into that? How can we source that and be sorcerers? So we've just been celebrating our supermoon, right? And it's still going on. The close blue moon, the supermoon. It doesn't happen very often, and this is about how do we bring in that avatar mindset? I don't know if you're familiar with this term, Cynthia, but I'm kidding. This comes from Cynthia's work,
Oh, I'm not
the
muted.
avatar mindset. No, you're not, but that's fine. Lovely laugh. That was great. And so I want to share with you a little bit what I am going to be looking at or inviting you to engage in, which are these four gestures or movements. First is to open your heart. And then we can think about changing your mind. And then you can think about engaging your life. And then you can think about evolving your world. And if you think about these four gestures, the first is really a gesture of relax. Open your heart, breathe, be here now. And the second one about change your mind is a willingness to let go, a willingness to not know everything, to live with ambiguity, a willingness to play. The third one, engage your life, is a willingness or a gesture of reaching out. Engage your life, reach out. Don't only stay within your world, reach out, connect. And the evolve your world is the gesture of stepping forward. So now let's bring this into action. And often I think just having these frames, opening your heart, changing your mind, and Cynthia is showing there also a little bit, and I don't know if you can see because my screen is what's up there, but we can come back to that as well. So these are things which help you move. Now let's look at this specifically. If you first change your thinking, this is very key to all the book that we have put together. First, change your thinking to be more positive and creative. Right? And if we can do that, everything else follows. Then the world changes. Right? And it is so. It's not as if just by thinking it or wishing it, the world becomes, but our engagement with it does shift. And sensing with the heart precedes reasoning with the mind. This is what I want to really emphasize with Cynthia. And we'll be getting to Cynthia in just a moment. I won't make this, it's not a lecture, but it's just something that I want, hopefully, you can play with as we move forward with some of these ideas. How does sensing with the heart precede reasoning with the mind? Well, partly it should. And then now the next part is, let's see how. So this is something that Buckminster Fuller said. He said, I'm not a thing, a noun. I seem to be a verb. Isn't that cool? This is his full little quote. He said, this is Buckminster Fuller saying, I live on earth at present, and I don't know what I am. I know I am not a category. I'm not a thing, a noun. I seem to be a verb, an evolutionary process, an integral function of the universe. So how do we verb ourselves? And I love to use the expression, how do we human well, right? So this is the verb that I play with. How do we human well? Especially when a lot of the world that we're living in is characterized as VUCA and RUPT. Some of you may know these terms, but this is really at the essence of what Cynthia was sharing with at the very beginning. So the scientists will talk about VUCA contexts and situations, describing them as being volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Kind of like scientific terms for how things, well, not terribly complex terms, but still it's hard to relate to them necessarily. But when we bring this home and we experience the kind of angst that Cynthia was talking about, and how do we find hope in these kind of situations, often these are described as RUPT, R-U-P-T. Now, that stands for rapid, unpredictable, paradoxical, and tangled. These are the experiences and encounters. And when we find ourselves in situations, encounters, experiences that are like that, are rapid, unpredictable, paradoxical, and tangled, often it leads to a sense of hopelessness. What do we do? How can we handle this? Okay, so there are ways of moving, and it doesn't mean through the mind. Remember, this is not the idea of going first through the mind. It does mean eventually changing your mind. Yes, I want to get there, but the first step is with the heart, then it's with the mind. So the path of Cynthia, this is kind of like a little flow. You can think about what often in the Chinese characters for crisis are, or the word or the term crisis is composed of two characters. One represents danger and the other one opportunity. And so the path of Synteny is to transmute our VUCA world, the volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world, transmute it into greater dynamics of harmony. That's the path of Synteny. So what does Synteny actually mean? So Synteny, here's some definitions. Now this is just a little technical, but let's look at these definitions because it's a powerful word. Is conscious intention aligned with evolutionary purpose. So what does that mean? The embodiment and manifestation of conscious evolution. Oh, so we are the embodiment of that. How can we do that? How do we embody it? So it's a purposeful, creative aligning and tuning with the evolutionary flows of one's environment, one's milieu. How can we do that? That's the quest of Synteny. In a more technical area of evolutionary systems thinking, Synteny means evolutionary consonants. That's like the shortest, most concise definition. Evolutionary consonants. The occurrence and persistence of an evolutionarily tuned dynamic regime. You go to the unabridged, the Oxford English Dictionary, unabridged version, you'll find Synteny there. It means resonant in radio engineering. But people, like, frankly, I found this term first in conversation with Barbara Marx Hubbard. She uses this concept of Synteny, and she informed me that she found it in the writings of Teilhard de Chardin. And after that, I found it in the writings of Eric Jansch, who wrote Design for Evolution and the Self-Evolving Universe. This is the play of Synteny. And so I want to share now, I'm just wrap this up. So I want to be able to move on so other people have a chance to be able to share their views on this as well, on the compass of hope. But there are 5 principles that I think are really important for the presence and practice of Synteny. And so one is passion. So this vibrant, intense, and compelling enthusiasm, passion, engagement. A second one is integrity. And I think of integrity as dignity and congruency with your value. It's a kind of worthiness, honor, and respect. These are often old terms that we're missing in much of our modern world. Balance. I think of it as spin control and flow control, so that we don't spin out of balance when we do that. And Cynthia and I and a few others have talked about the whirling dervishes and their dance and staying in that. It's not the control of the situation. It's this control of oneself in the flow, control in the flow, in the situations. Grace, simple elegance, presence, kindness, a composed way of being. You can't do this if you're frenetic. You can't do this if you're jump on your horse and ride off in all directions. You want to be in a composed frame. And it does mean flow. So sometimes that composure doesn't mean just being slow. Sometimes it means fast, but sometimes it means being slow. It's tuning your actions and attitudes to harmonize with your surroundings. These are these practices or principles of Synteny. And here are some dimensions of Synteny that just want to touch on these, and then I'll move on here. So there's personal, this what I call intrapersonal Synteny. How are you with yourself? Are you in balance? Is there this integrity? Is there grace? Is there flow with yourself? With yourself, that's intrapersonal Synteny. Then there's interpersonal Synteny. How with other human beings, other people in the world? Are you in a dysfunctional work environment? Are you okay with your neighbors, etc.? This is that human world. But then there's the more than human world. How are you in Synteny with the living world that is beyond the human dimension? And then there's a time dimension, the balance between our relationship with our ancestors and future generations. And would our ancestors be proud of us? Have conversation with your ancestors. And also think of yourself as a future ancestor, or like an ancestor in training. Have conversation with those yet to come who aren't born yet. Are you in balance with them? Would they be happy with what you're doing now? And finally, there's pan-cosmic Synteny. This is the connection with the deeper flows of the universe, of the cosmos in its emergence. And I know that Andrew and Connie and others are going to be talking about this very deep dimension of balance and of being as well. When you have all these 5 dimensions in syntony among themselves, not just one at a time, but all together, that is a true evolutionary syntony. So this is it. This is the hope that we can engage in this through discipline, through training, through practice. I mean, this is what Cynthia talks about a lot. This is the discipline of the mind, but it does start with the heart. I love this little quote from David Bohm: individuality is only possible if it unfolds from wholeness. I leave you with this Apache blessing. May the sun bring you new energy by day. May the moon softly restore you by night. May the rain wash away your worries. May the breeze blow new strength into your being. May you walk gently through the world and know its beauty all the days of your life. Ashe, and thank you.
Oh, that was wonderful. And, you know, Alexander, I didn't get to tell them how to connect with you. And some perhaps don't know anything about you, but he is president of the Bertalanffy Center for the Study of Systems Science, research director at the Laszlo Institute for New Paradigm Research, scientific director of Earthwise Center, author of over 100 journal, book, and encyclopedia publications on holistic being, transcendent consciousness, and curated emergence, societal evolution, and syntony. And you can look up Alexander Laszlo, scientist, on Wikipedia. You can also contact him through the research program at the Laszlo Institute. But I recommend you go to his website, alexanderlaszlo.net. It's in beta, but I did just check it out. There is a lot more there to understand about syntony. So thank you, Alexander, so much.
Thank you.
So I'm going to bring up next Michelle Glaubiger, and she studied psychology and holistic health at San Francisco State University, receiving a master's in depth psychology from Sonoma State University in 2003. Since that time, Ms. Glaubiger has been teaching, writing, and counseling in the areas of transpersonal and depth psychology, as well as teaching yoga and meditation to students of all ages. She's mom to 2 daughters, ages 21 and 24, makes her home with her husband of 32 years in Santa Rosa, California. And her website is visionaryconsults.com.
Yes.
I think it's in the chat. I think actually all of their contact information is in the chats. So Michelle is going to give us her view of meditation, and it will liberate you to enjoy more your own practice and have fun. So thank you, Michelle.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to put my little timer on here because I have a tendency to talk too much. And so I'm going to give myself a timer. I first wanted to talk a little bit about how I myself came to meditation in my 20s. I was studying at San Francisco State, and part of my psychology degree, the I guess theme of the psychology that I was studying was the betterment of human condition. And so I started studying holistic health along my psychology degree and took a class entitled Eastern Perspectives of Psychology. And in that class, we started a meditation practice. And so, you know, it was part of the homework. And so thusly there I went. And one of the instructions for the meditation was to create a beautiful place in nature that was your safe space to be. And so I spent, many years trooping around in this, not many years, a couple of years, trooping around in this special place in nature that I had mapped out in my own mind. And when we bought the house that we live in now, this house, the first time that I sat to meditate on my bed, I realized that the house was absolutely positioned in the exact same place that my mind was positioned as a special place in nature to meditate. And so I knew the power that meditation and the imaginal world had to manifest out into the universe. So that was one of the first places that I knew that it was powerful. And then another place of just the transpersonal world and the imaginal world that brought me to my depth degree is that I was pregnant with my second daughter, and I always would see little people around, or I would have dreams about the other sister, or have, I already had a daughter who's 3 at this time. And so I didn't really even think about it one way or the other until she was born, a little person. And then I knew how incredibly powerful the mind and the environment work together to give us information and for us to be able to put that information out there. And so my meditation practice from that point in time has been a solid place that I have come back to daily, time and time again, to find my own self in the world. And really, this is what Dr. Laszlo was talking about, was how we can engage in our environment in the most effective way for our lives. And so, speaking to his discussion, this interpersonal symphony, this is definitely where you would get started to find your own personal sense of yourself, is giving yourself permission every day for a couple of minutes, even if nothing else, to just be. And so, as I said in my article in the book, meditation is not about what you think. Meditation is a place that you put yourself, that you find yourself when you just allow yourself to sit and be. And this is part of, the frenetic nature of life that we've created, the cultures that we've grown forward. That's not really what humans want to do. They don't just want to be, they want to produce, they want to create. And so in all of that production and creation, which is marvelous and wonderful, and here we are, we're outside of ourselves a lot of times. And this is where the hopelessness and the despondency comes in, because if you're outside of yourself, what do you think about the world? What can you possibly contribute? How can you come from a place of centeredness if you're outside of yourself? So to me, to my mind, 5 minutes, the best thing you can do for yourself is grant yourself 5 minutes of peace every single day to just be. And so what I thought we would do, and I'll just do a quick little meditation while we're here, is just have a little meditation exercise so you can dip in and see what we're talking about here. And so how we start this in my meditation group is we just start by getting our bodies into a comfortable position, feet on the ground so that you're centered, hands in your lap, head on your shoulders, sitting up straight so that your breath is coming in and out. When you get comfortable with your beingness in your body, close your eyes. And then just breathe, starting in through your nose and out. A lot of people, there are mantras, there is counting, there is simply paying attention to the breath. And your point in all of this is just to keep breathing and keeping your attention in your body and letting your mind settle. So while you're breathing, let your mind settle. Imagine that your mind is the sky, and any thought that you have is a cloud that just filters by. So while you're sitting here, breathing in and out, you're just paying attention to your breath and letting your mind clear itself out, so that what you're left with is the sky. And there are very few clouds going by. And in this sense, with the sky, you can go anywhere. And the best part of meditation and keeping yourself so you're in the sky and out of the thoughts is just to let them pass by. And if you get a cloud that stops and starts raining on you, get yourself back to your breath and let the cloud go by. And really, it's just a matter, meditation is simply just a matter of letting the clouds go by and you being the sky. So when we're done with our meditation group, we end with an Om, and then we come back to the group. So, Om. So my thoughts on meditation are wide and varied. You can find me and my thoughts. I blog regularly and counsel people in transpersonal work on my website, visionaryconsults.com. And my simple request is one that the Dalai Lama is very happy with, which would be, if we could teach all 8-year-olds to meditate, we would do away with violence in 1 generation. So this is my thought. Thank you, Cynthia, for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
You know, you have been one of my best supporters, and I thank you. You just always make me feel good. And in the book, her chapter, she does such a playful thing. She takes the word meditation, and so M is meditation isn't what you think. E is everyone can practice meditation. D, daily practice will give the best results. I, inspiration and calm will find their way to you, and so forth. And she discusses those a little. But and I hope I don't embarrass you, Michelle, but she had been teaching meditation and teaching her young adult daughters meditation, well, probably from when they were very young.
True.
But both of her parents passed away at like pretty much the same time.
Yeah.
And if she hadn't had this meditation practice and her daughters hadn't had it, it would have been devastating. So
I can tell you from personal experience, having had that visit itself upon me, which started out with breaking my leg first,
that's
then my dad getting sick, then my mom dying. It was a 1-month span where that happened. And I was, oh, you guys can't see my shirt, but I was heavily meditated the entire time.
I like
that. I believe I fall back on. I am right there with Dr. Laszlo. You got to start with the intrapersonal syntony and continue to move it out.
yes. Thank you. And in just a moment, we are going to see a very lovely video from Katrin Lambert. She's in Germany right now. I hope the full moon would have kept her up, but I don't know what time it is over there. Her email is also in the chat, quantumtransformation.com. She's a certified practitioner of Neo-Hum and Matrix Quantum Coaching. Her method's very structured, systematic, and quick. Every problem, discomfort, dis-ease is a physical, mental, spiritual, or karmic energetic blockage, a negative belief or attachment. I locate stagnation and facilitate transformation. She's the co-author of a card deck, Transformation Code, at transformation-code.com, an international speaker in online summits at 1111unify.com, a member of Seroptimus International and the Sign Network. And she is going to demonstrate body testing. And maybe this isn't new to some of you. It's a quantum energy practice of trusting the body's inner wisdom to make decisions. It's a form of kinesiology. And I actually tried it, a few times, and it works. So let's watch this demonstration of that technique.
Hello and welcome. It's me again, Katrin Lambert, founder of quantumtransformation.com and frequency vibration transformer. And today I want to talk about the advantage of being able to test. And we will start with a very, very simple method, testing with the body. So what is it? If you're able to test with a pendulum or a tensor or with your hands or your arms or your body, you are able to test something that you want to use in your life. Of course, it is important to step back behind your thinking mind and make sure that you are open. You have no preoccupations about what the answer should be. I guess this is clear. So I always tell myself my mind is free of preoccupations about opinions and wishes, and I am totally neutral and now able to test. And the easiest thing you can do is test with your body. I will turn around and just ask my body, because my body never lies to me. Why should it? Give me a yes, and I will fall forward, and I will test again. Give me a no. Yes, the no might be difficult because we are not used to saying no, but you will practice. So for example, if I want to use a symbol from my card deck, this is the symbol of universal balance. And I want to know if is this symbol supportive for me today, in this moment. I will just take it and ask, is this symbol supportive for me today? Is it the right symbol? No, that's not the right one. So I'll choose another one. For example, here, the symbol is of the connection to the higher self. So is this the symbol that will support me today? Yes. So what I will do is I will put my water glass on it or do a proper water transfer and ask the symbol to support me throughout my day. You can do this with, for example, a piece of food, an apple, a banana, or whatever you want to buy in the supermarket, and you don't want to take out your pendulum. Just take it in your hand, wait a second and ask, is this good? Is this a good fruit? Is it good for me in the right portion for today? And you can ask what your body says. If you have a highly processed food in your hand, the answer might be no. So it's your decision if you want to buy it or not. And of course, if you have a package of salt, ask the right question. Don't ask, can I eat this salt? Of course you can, but you probably shouldn't, especially not the whole package. So is this salt proper to use in the right portions for my food? Would be the right questions. I do that in the drugstore with cream or shampoo or whatever it is. Is this good for my body? Yes or no? For my hair, for my skin? Of course, you could drink it, but you shouldn't. So asking precise questions, concentrating on what is my intention and what does my body say is a nice thing to experiment with and to become more aware about what is happening in your world, what you are probably not so aware of in your everyday life. So have fun with this testing method and see you soon.
So she is an educator, on the public school board, founding member of the Institute for Woman-Centered Coaching and Leadership, advocate for bringing mindfulness into daily life by connecting to nature, offers workshops in meditation and transformational coaching, author and poet of 2 forthcoming books, whose mission is to bring local farming and gardening to youth through eco meditation practices, to deepen our own connection to the soil and ultimately to each other. And she has an email you can reach her at that should be in the chat. And she's going to briefly talk about the battle with her teenage daughter's depression, the demon that tries to take over, and a way to talk back to it and get rid of it eventually. And my heart really goes out to her because, you know, every family probably has people that have needed mental health adjustments, but to have a daughter and the two of you working on this, you know, you're the people we wrote this for. And your daughter is doing great. But anyways, you can tell us a little bit about your experience, if you would.
Thank you so much. As I was listening to everyone else, I thought all of these ideas, they're very personal. They reflect, you know, me very personally. So my story is that I'm a mom of 3. I don't have a PhD or anything in any field, but I have a daughter that is suffering from depression for many, many years. She's a lot better now, but so my contribution to this book is very personal. When I first found out that she was depressed, I was very angry. I blamed everyone and everything, including myself. And I blamed the internet, I blamed school, I blamed whatever I could blame, I blamed. And then I realized that all of that was not helping her. And so I did the usual stuff and took her to the doctor, took her to the psychiatrist, took her to psychologist, you know, whatever I could get access to, I took her. And then I thought, yeah, it's kind of helping, but it's kind of not. And, you know, and I really didn't know what to do. And so that's where my journey began. And this journey that you talk about, you know, that journey within, exploring within, that's what triggered my journey. And so for me, it was about, you know, what can I anchor in? You know, what can I hold on to in the middle of all this confusion and chaos and anger and frustration? What is that thing that I can access in the middle of all this this chaos. And the only thing I had was my love for her. That's all I had. And I knew that that was, for me, the most consistent thing that I could feel, that I could get strength from, and that I could be hopeful about. So, so the question for me from that was, how do you love? How do you love better? How do you love this child better? And that was the question I asked myself, because I thought whatever I was doing before was not good enough. So there was something more here for me to explore, and there was something more here for me to discover about myself, and also about her, and why she was feeling all these things. So I took that love and I started my own meditation practice. So all, what was said before about meditation definitely worked for me. It started my own reflections, and it gave me access to a part of me that could notice my thoughts, that realized that there was this demon at the door, in my daughter's mind, and that she was just, bombarded by the thoughts that were coming at her all the time. And how do I stop that? How do I get her to see that? And I would say that I'm not there yet perfectly, but we're getting there. But the first step was to, I asked her, do you want to be better? Do you want better? And she said yes. And then the next step was, okay, well, you got to believe that better is possible. And then the third step was, you have to believe that you deserve better, because she didn't believe that either. And then once we got to there, it was about, you actually have the capacity to create something better, and so those were kind of our steps, and once she realized that she had the capacity to create something better for herself, that's when, the real journey started. She started her own mental health group, support group. I bought some land. I bought some land because my connection to myself, my connection to the earth became so important. The love that I felt for her evolved to, love for all of life. And so that love has been expanding, since then. And really what I realized is that, that is the ultimate mission of the universe, is that impulse to create from a place of love. And so that's what I do now. I create from that place of love. I run workshops from that place of love. My daughter helps me. She's very much involved in some online platforms that help her talk to other youth about depression. And this is a lifelong journey, I would say. And I would also say that, this is something you have to do every day. It's the meditation, the exploration of, what's going on within you. And it's that consistency of thought, of doing, that really gets you to that place where, like what was said before, you start to notice your own thoughts. You know, you start to realize, oh, I'm sad. Why am I sad? You know, what am I thinking when I'm sad? And so it becomes a conversation between you and this other thing that's going on. You know, I don't know what the word is for it, but for my daughter, you know, it was like there was this demon, you know, and he's just, you know, don't do that, don't do this, you're no good, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, it's too much, life is too much, the world is crazy, the world is a burden, you know, it's never going to get better, you know, things are a mess, there's climate change, school is hard, you know, someone is getting better grades than you, you will never get that scholarship. You know, there's just this constant, you know, this I call it the demon, but it's like, you know, someone just constantly bombarding you with all of that stuff. And so once she learned that she was in charge, you know, that she could actually have a conversation with her very own thoughts, like she was outside of that, she was above that. That's when she started to actually really heal. You know, that's when she started to really feel herself again, you know, and it became quite interesting. Even the doctors and the psychiatrists couldn't believe how much awareness she had, all of us, you know, over time, in terms of, you know, what these thoughts were telling her. You know, like she is in a place now where it's like she knows when the thought is even coming, like she sees it a mile away, you know, and she's like, there it is, it's coming, it's walking over, okay, now what do I do? You know, you know, so it's amazing to watch, but like I said, it's a daily practice. It's a daily, I used to say daily struggle, but now I say daily, you know, a way to be, you know, with yourself, you know, and I'm not sure what else I can say, but
you could mention, I have, you know, kind of old notes, but her daughter's name is Carmi.
yes,
And I guess she's taking psychology courses now. I did put it's going to be okay, mentalhealth.com.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
In the comments, and she has a Discord server, I guess you call that. And it sounds like she's focusing on mental health in the local community, schools, and city council. So you were working with her on the contents of this book before the book was written. So
yeah, and I think, like you said, like we said before, yeah, like she needed to create a structure in which she could get clarity. And so it was all about, you know, creating that infrastructure ourselves, you know, because we couldn't find it anywhere else. So we created it ourselves. She created her website, I created my little retreat. And so in that structure, we were able to find space to reflect and explore and be curious and communicate and learn from each other and learn from others as well.
thank you. You did great. And when people get the book, her daughter has a nice section in there, and she does. So they're both talking about depression from their two different viewpoints. So it's very nice to read what they contributed. Well, next we have another video from Athalia Moren, who is in the Philippines. She's a spiritual science researcher, devotee of the mysteries, companion and guide for women into the depths and heights of their whole being, speaks for the sacred and concrete relationships we have with the whole of the cosmos, and advocates for weaving love and sacred wisdom into the practical design of our societies and personal lives. Lovethatweare.com is her website. This is another short video, and she gives us a practice to experience what loving and being loved feels like in our body, and how to summon love for the little and the big moments.
Hello, my name is Athalia, and it's so nice to be here with you all. It's so nice to be gathering with you in this capacity. I believe that it's beautiful and important and relevant for us, especially in these times, to be speaking and standing clearly for what is most beautiful and good and true for us. I believe that courage to do that consistently is such a beautiful and powerful and healing force in the world. And so it's an honor to be part of this book, to be part of this experience, which for me is a symbol and expression of wholeness and healing in this world. So thank you very much for your contribution. And for my part, my piece in the book is a practice called moment-to-moment love. So it's a very simple practice wherein we'll be focusing on holding the essence of love in our body and moving through our days from that state. And so if you would like to join me now in this practice, I invite you to close your eyes or lower your gaze. And if you want, you can place your hands on your heart. And I invite you to bring to mind and to heart a beloved, maybe a person, a place, or a memory, or an idea. In however way, in however pathway is most accessible for you to be in the state of love. For me, it's thinking of my inner child, thinking of that innocence, that simplicity. Let's hold that energy in our heart for a few moments. Resting in that essence. And then if you can, and if you want, you can start imagining that feeling spreading throughout your body. And as this feeling spreads, as this energy spreads, you can imagine holding this feeling, remembering this feeling, and then throughout your day, coming back over and over to this state. I find that it's a beautiful practice. This beautiful practice of drawing in helps us to spiral out into the world with beauty and grace. shifting how we see the world, shifting how we speak, shifting how we hold ourselves and each other, and all the wonderful things in the world. So that is the practice. It's a very quick and simple practice. For me, it's a very simple anchor to what's important, helping us return over and over to what's important as we go through our big, beautiful, complex lives. Yeah. So thank you for practicing with me. My name is Athalia, and I pray that you continue being anchors and weavers of love in the world. If you would like to explore my work, my website is lovethatweare.com. Thank you again, and I hope for a beautiful day for you. Bye.
So Elliott Robertson leads us in Ho'oponopono. He hopes to broaden our understanding of this practice and deepen our experience of it. He is a certified Happy for No Reason workshop leader. He served as a staff writer for Daily Word, a devotional published by Unity, and helped people on their spiritual journeys as a spiritual growth coach. His poems and articles have appeared in Miracles Magazine and Science of Mind. Welcome, Elliott.
Thank you so much, Cynthia, for including me in the book and including me in this broadcast, and for all of the humongous work you did to put together. I know an anthology of this caliber is a big project. And thank you, Bob and Noel, for for welcoming me back with open arms. It's been at least a year since I've been here, so I'm going to be coming back more, I'm sure. Satinder, your message just touched my heart so much. What a beautiful story. It must go out to the world, and it will in the book. And everyone, I just have been so absorbed and so engaged, and I'm sure everyone has been. Alexander, I'm so grateful for your using the word embodiment and for the love conversation that's been happening, because I really do think that Ho'oponopono can help us to be step into our compassion. It is really all about standing in integrity. One of the words you used, Alexander, it really is, because when you apologize, you are stepping out, you are evolving your world. And you're also reaching the dimensions of integrity and the personal relationship and the relationship with the community and the spiritual relationship with the cosmos. Anyway, I wanted to just really, I'm just so grateful to be able to lead just for a minute or so the Ho'oponopono prayer. I think of it as a prayer and as a practice. I hold it as sacred. It's been something, unfortunately, I feel like when it was introduced 2 or 3 decades ago and became popular in the American culture, it was sort of just words that people memorized. It's only 10 words, it's only 4 sentences. And it became sort of rote, I feel. At least for me it did, and I think for many people it did. It became shallow. And since then I have been experimenting with lots of different addressing the heart, addressing the inner child, and so on and so forth. A lot of different approaches to working with the Ho'oponopono prayer. And we're going to be working with talking to the heart this evening. I'm so grateful to you, Alexander, for starting with the heart. That is absolutely essential. And I'm going to just first, before we do the prayer, I'm going to be leading it, and you don't really have to have any experience or knowledge of it. I'll be walking you through it. But I did want to just give us a chance to take a breath and land. So we'll do that for just a few moments. If you want to close your eyes, you can. And if you want to turn off your photo, you can, your camera. Just land, whatever that looks like for you, however it feels like to you, wherever you land. And now staying within, ask yourself if there's something you'd like to apologize to your heart for. Maybe it's just some general numbness that has set in somehow, or walls that you've built around your house. It might be discounting the voice of the heart when it wants to tell you what she wants, or dismissing her requests, or just neglecting her and not paying much attention to her on your average day. And if nothing comes up for you for the heart, you can just think of some action that you've done, maybe cursing somebody, or something that you would like to apologize for, maybe snapping out in anger at somebody. So either with a dialogue for the heart, or a dialogue with someone you were rude to or mean to or whatever, we'll have our moment of Ho'oponopono. And now to begin. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I love you. I love you. I love you. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Thank you. Receiving the forgiveness. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I like to say thank you an extra time, because receiving is something some of us have problems with. So let's just go an extra time with that. One more time, one more cycle. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I love you. I love you, heart. I love you, Jane. I love you, John. Whoever it is. Please forgive me. And if you want to be specific, please forgive me for neglecting you, or whatever it is. Please forgive me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And you can return back to the group if you'd like. I am just so in love with this prayer, because one of the reasons is because it has so many different things that you can do with it. I just recently, my parents have both passed, but I took a moment to first apologize to my mother for a moment that I have regrets about. So tomorrow, if you want to think, what regrets do I have, and whether the person is beyond the veil or not, you can address it to whoever, to let go of that regret and be forgiven of it. Start with a fresh page. I've also said, I've also apologized to humanity for all the corruption in the world. And that is one of the things about Ho'oponopono that I love, is that it requires 100%. It invites you to be 100% accountable, responsible for everything, even for the pain that somebody else you've never met is experiencing, and their contraction, and their outlandish behavior, their corrupt behavior. So it really is 100% totality with the I'm sorry. And it's also 100% totality with everything else. Go for 100% totality when you say, please forgive me. Experience it in your body. When you say, I love you, 100% I love you, 1,000%, and 1,000% for thank you for receiving the forgiveness. So I just invite you all to maybe take 7 minutes to just keep going through the cycle again and again with what you were working with today, perhaps later on after the broadcast is over, or tomorrow, or whenever you have 7 minutes to lie down on your bed if you want, to do some deep breathing first. Really full breaths is a wonderful way to start. And then from there, you can go ahead and do those 4 sentences. I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you.
Good for you. Well, I am going to bring up in a minute here Debra Emmanuelle, who was driving, but I'm hoping she stops while she talks to us. She is a non-denominational minister of peace, chaplain, remembrance facilitator, serving on Elder Counselor Circle for All Life, board member of Mother Earth Restoration Trust, offering personal, group, spiritual guidance and healing, educator, speaker, and writer, supporting humanity's remembrance of our sacred, reciprocal, and complementary relationship with Mother Earth, all of life, and the cosmos. She's an advocate for nature and her right to freely fulfill her purpose of sustaining humanity alive. So, Debra, what is this magic wand? You said, have you ever wished you had a magic wand that could heal your wounded or sick body, your broken or strained relationships, or the suffering that we all endure as part of a normal part of being a human being? And then you say this key to healing, all the above, is all around you and directly under you. I think we know what you're going to be talking about, but let's hear from you.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. It's such an honor to be here with all of you, learning from all of you, sharing with all of you. It is a deep, true honor. So I thank you all, and I've loved everything that I've heard so far. So who I am is a remembrance facilitator. It's the remembrance that is the key to our forgetting. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. When we forget something, once we remember it, we no longer have forgotten it. And there is so much that we have forgotten about who we really are. So as a spiritual counselor, an energy healer and teacher, remembrance facilitator, for going on 30 years now, I've always gone for, my search has been for what is that pivotal key place, that pivotal place where we get to the core, we get to the cause, to the root cause, and then we work with that. So if I were to summarize all the sessions that I've done over the last 30 years and all the classes I've taught, and all that I have learned in my own life, because, you know, it's a learning process for each one of us, an ongoing learning process. It is that we have forgotten that we are intricately connected to all that is. And that means, you know, what does that mean? Yeah, we have all heard those words, and yeah, we're all one. That's lovely. It's a beautiful thought. But what does that mean? And just this past spring, I was meditating out on a piece of land that I am working to restore with a whole group of people co-facilitating this. And we're just beginning the restoration process of this land. And I sat with the earth and nature all around me. And I said, show us where to begin. Show us what you are needing so that we can bring you this restorative process. And what nature said to me is, nobody can do anything to help me heal until you know how to be with me. And it took my breath away to hear those words and to understand the impact of that. So it's not coming from the head, no matter how much science we know. No matter how much technology we think we have that can be beneficial, and some of that really can be beneficial, what we have forgotten is how to be one with nature, how to look around at the beautiful landscapes all around us. And remember that every single thought we have is sacred because it affects everything around us. Every single word we speak is sacred because it impacts everything. Because everything that we create from within ourselves is energy. And that energy that we create goes out into the field all around us, not just in the vicinity where we are, but into the entire web of life. And it changes the frequency of that web of life, either enhancing the energy and the frequency of the web of life or depleting it. A Course in Miracles says there is no neutral energy. It either enhances life or it depletes life. And I've learned that that is absolutely true through my own experiences, in talking with others, in living my own life. So what does it mean to be with nature? Before we begin digging holes and building things that we think, even with the best intentions, could be for beneficial use. It means that we sit and we listen and we ask permission, doing the Ho'oponopono prayer before we begin to do something, and really connecting with whatever it is that is ours to do, that is ours to think, that is ours to say. All of it matters dramatically. And so because of this oneness that we have forgotten that what we do to nature, we do to ourselves. So there isn't, unless they're way up in the Andes Mountains or in the Himalayan mountains, there isn't a stream. There isn't, unfortunately, I don't know that there's even a drop of water on this planet that isn't contaminated. And because that is what we have allowed to happen, the water within our being is contaminated. And that is impacting our health. It is impacting our mental clarity. It is impacting our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. Because water is feminine. Water, Mother Earth, and woman are one. And when we do something to affect the water, we affect not only just women, but the feminine that is within all human beings. There are feminine principles that include reciprocity and complementarity. Nature never takes anything without giving something back. Every part of nature is reciprocal and complementary. The fact that the trees give us oxygen and we give them back carbon dioxide so that both can thrive. And in the origins, we made an agreement with the earth, with the water, with all of nature, with Mother Earth and source, creative source of all that is, that we would be given everything we needed to thrive. And in return for that gift of life, we would nurture and care for all life. The earth has never taken back that promise. That agreement is still intact. We still have access to everything that we need to thrive. However, much of what we need to thrive, we ourselves, we human beings, have contaminated. If we haven't been directly impacting it, we have at least sat back and allowed it. The research that I've done on the water alone is mind-boggling, what's happening with the water these days. And I am here in the Southwest of the United States, and it's a very serious matter. And so it's time that we remember that unity, that we support and return the gift of life to life itself.
Thank you, Deborah. You're there in Sedona, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I lived in that area for like 27 years and I love it. But I gotta tell you, I am in love with green, living in the Smoky Mountains. I don't think I can go back to red rocks, but it's beautiful. It is beautiful. But thank you. And thank you for your patience. These last two presenters worked with Barbara Marks Hubbard, and a few other presenters did also. Bob and Noel did, and they have a lot to share. So let me introduce DrJanet Smith Warfield. She serves wisdom seekers who want understanding and clarity so they can live peaceful, powerful, prosperous lives. Through her unique combination of holistic, creative right brain transformational experiences and 22 years of rigorous left brain law practice, she's learned how to sculpt words in atypical ways, shifting her listeners into experiences beyond words, transforming turmoil into inner peace. She's the author of the Amazon best-selling book, Shift, Change Your Words, Change Your World, and founder of Planetary Peace, Power, and Prosperity Legacy Foundation. And let's see here. Ooh. DrJanet is going to take the Hindu concept of piercing the veil of illusion. It's like life, right? One step deeper and briefly explore the experience of piercing the veil of word illusions. You know, words are what make our thoughts. It's very important to understand her stuff that's in the book.
By a gentleman named John Langdon, who used to teach at Drexel University, but he doesn't anymore. And he's given me permission to use this. Nothing in front of you changes. Well, no, I don't even ask what
Just
word.
what do you see?
What do you see? Because maybe all they see is pink and black blots on a piece of paper. You could certainly verbalize it that way. That would be one way of seeing it. Some people see the word note. A lot of people see the word hate. Kinds of questions I will ask to people in a workshop, for example, is when you see the word hate, how do you feel?
Right.
And the words that will usually come out will be unsafe, dark, closed in, immobilized. Mm-hmm. And if you see the word love, what do you feel? And it's usually safe, joyous, buoyant. So look, nothing on that image changes.
Yes, same, right?
It's all what your mind does. And it's a wonderful metaphor or analogy to the real world, because we can shape our experiences any way we choose to shape them. Is there a way in this, say, disharmonious, chaotic dynamic that's going on where I can serve, where I can position myself through choice to shift the whole dynamic, which to me is what service is about.
Why do you love your work so much?
Because it's fascinating. It's a gift that I am putting out into the world. Now, people can accept the gift and start playing with it and using it, or they can be terrified by it and withdraw. If everyone were open to receiving this gift and standing in their own strength and power and looking at their own principles and their own intentions and their own thoughts, if they were willing to do the inner work and then start sharing their ideas with one another, we would together co-create a peaceful, powerful, prosperous planet.
I have to laugh because I've been trying to figure out what I'm going to say here tonight after the video's over, and I still don't know. I see the flow of the conversation tonight is starting out with Alexander, who obviously also loves to play with words. I mean, he focused on Playshop, serious fun, celebration. I don't think I even wrote everything down, but he obviously loves to play with words and with paradox, as I do too, because choice is kind of being at a moral crossroads lots of times. And sometimes none of the choices feel good. And ultimately, this has been my experience, I have to surrender and reconnect with something that I cannot conceptualize, but I can allow to flow through me and then back out into the world. So let me see, where do I want to go with this? I'm really focused a lot on, certainly reconnection with self. Who am I? And how do I get there? That's what I think most people tonight have been speaking about. But then once I know who I am, what do I do with that? What's my purpose on this planet? And so the first step to me is reconnection with your soul, with who you are, with your own purpose, with your own centeredness and beingness. Now, there were a lot of people that were using words like that tonight. But then my own experience has been, I've had a lot of hard experiences with other people who have not made that reconnection. And I've gotten screamed at. I've been slandered. I've been treated very badly by a lot of people. And, how do I deal with this? So here's how I have gotten out of that kind of dynamic. I came up with 6 questions. And if I run over time, just stop me, Cynthia. When I was in a funk, when I was feeling in total chaos and not knowing which way to turn, the questions I started asking myself, which always helped, were, what do I think right here, right now? What do I feel right here, right now? What do I need right here, right now? What are my choices right here, right now? And then later on, I added a couple of others. And these kind of tie in with some of the things that some of the other people were saying. What do I need to know? Which of the words spoken tonight are pulling me in? What do I need to know? We kind of get into Teilhard de Chardin's noosphere with that one. And then finally, whom can I trust? When you reconnect with who you are, with your soul, with your spirit, with God, with Allah, whatever name you want to give it, you can't really conceptualize it, because when you do, you separate yourself from that energetic flow. But if you reconnect with your own soul, and you're able to stand there with support that comes from, I don't know where, but I know it does, you will attract other people in with you. And it's not static, it's dynamic. However, Alexander was talking about this, about the dancing and being danced. So you're in that dynamic. However, when you stop the dynamic for a minute and you're in this power with position, it is also the Christian symbol for prayer and the Buddhist symbol for namaste.
I think ending on namaste is a perfect place to end. Thank you. All right, we have one final couple, and Connie Baxter Marlow and Andrew Cameron Bailey. They got married not so long ago. They've got all kinds of sites now with their adventures on there. They remind me of Bob and Noel. They're so adventurous. So they are original thinkers, authors, and futurists. Their explorations into the essence of reality have led to a unique articulation of the nature of the universe. Their book, The Trust Frequency, 10 Assumptions for a New Paradigm, informed by indigenous cosmology, quantum science, and Eastern and Western mysticism, aligns the heart and mind for accessing the trust frequency, where the laws are expanded and there is more balance, beauty, joy, freedom, and abundance than we can fathom. They apply the trust frequency principles to relationships in their online course, The Dance of Souls, the Relationship Evolution. And they have a free ebook through Compass of Hope, and it's called The Conscious Loving Universe, a guidebook, and it's kind of a short version of the trust frequency. And their book is worth getting too. It is very helpful. So they are going to explain the trust frequency and assist our understanding of energy and frequency in personal transformation, which we know Einstein and Tesla both said it's all energy. There's nothing but energy. So take it away. Thank you.
Thanks so much. It's such a treat to be here with our family and be in the book with the family. Hi, Noel and Bob and Victoria and Ron and so many viewers here, but also so many contributors to the book from our family, our Unity Earth family, John Raymer, Bob and Noel, Victoria and Ron, Yanni Maniates, Brian Berman, Nina Meyerhoff, Kim Conrad, Stephen Donaco, and Juliette Duff, those consciousness activists. So it was just such a treat to be part of that tapestry with all these folks and so many more. But with the trust frequency, we say we resolve many of the paradoxes that are keeping us from aligning our minds with our hearts. Because of our outdated worldview, we've been separated from the rest of creation and our hearts, that old mechanistic paradigm. And now with the new physics and new science, we are finding out, hey, guess what? We are the loving universe. We are the conscious loving universe. We were just recording with Jude Currivan for Humanities Team Global Oneness Summit. Jude Currivan, one of the top physicists, is now coming out and saying, yes, Connie and Andrew, it is a conscious loving universe. So we resolve one of the key paradoxes that keep us from aligning, and that is the paradox of love, not love. Because we say, guess what? Everything is love. But how can everything be love when we experience all these terrible things in the world? Well, the nature of that love is unconditional. It gives us everything we ask for. It loves us so much. But guess what else? It's all energy. It's all vibration. So it's physics and a loving universe. We couch it in the loving universe, but it's really physics, where we choose to vibrate. And so we say, okay, we have our requests to the universe. What are they? Our consciousness, right, Andrew? Our consciousness. And we have 7 aspects of our consciousness that we've identified, 7 aspects of our consciousness that determine our frequency. our vibratory level, and there are requests to this loving universe. So we have them in a sentence, one sentence. So here's a little toolkit for taking home with you today to help you align and understand how to align with the conscious loving universe and with a higher frequency where that abundance lives, where that ease and grace and freedom lives. So I'll say that I'll put those 7 aspects of our consciousness into one sentence. And here it is. And listen to the modifiers of that sentence. With expanded awareness and accurate assumptions, we choose our attitude, consciously direct our attention, align with our highest inner promptings, take committed action, which is the kicker, by the way, and allow the loving universe to manifest beyond our wildest dreams. So that's what I've got to bring to this. Andrew, do you want to add anything? I'm sure people are getting tired and wanting to close this out, but do you have anything to add to that?
I could come up with 4 words.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I can put into 4 words our entire presentation that we could have done for the next hour. And it's this: trust the loving universe. What that sentence contains in those 4 words is the loving universe. We live in a conscious, loving universe. Knowing that changes everything. And trusting that is all we have to do, because we are completely integrated with that loving universe that has our backs every breath of our lives.
Yeah, we're not integrated. We are it. The fractal holographic nature of the universe that's being discovered with the new physics is the fact that we're not only connected to it, we are it. And every thought we have, every emotion we have, every attitude we have affects all of creation. And all of creation is awaiting the love in the human heart, that compassion, that empathy, that kindness that we can choose to act from every day in all our relationships and all our actions, and just transform all of creation, because we are all of creation. So
there it is.
There it is, folks.
Wow. So they have a lot in the book. So I hope you will get Compass of Hope and read all of these wonderful authors' contributions.